Parliament erupted into chaos when Mkhwanazi delivered a shocking demand that President Cyril Ramaphosa should immediately step down. What unfolded afterward was nothing short of political theatre, brawling voices, heated exchanges, and unprecedented disorder that left the entire nation stunned. South Africa had never witnessed such dramatic scenes within its legislative chambers. The question now hangs heavy: could this be the decisive moment that finally breaks Ramaphosa's presidency? Stay with us as we unravel the full story, explore the fiery reactions, and examine what this could mean for the country's political future. But before we dive in, remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss breaking developments like this one. Parliament is no stranger to tense debates, yet today's events have already been described as one of the most anarchic sessions in years. At the center of the uproar stood Mkhwanazi, who boldly demanded Ramaphosa's resignation, arguing that he had betrayed the public's trust and lost his legitimacy as a leader. Almost instantly, the chamber turned into a verbal battlefield, with lawmakers clashing fiercely. Some rallied to defend Ramaphosa, while others echoed Mkhwanazi's call for him to step down. The intensity of the confrontation was unlike anything seen in years, as if long-suppressed frustrations had suddenly burst into the open. Mkhwanazi delivered his message with fiery conviction. He accused Ramaphosa of mishandling ongoing scandals, failing to unify the nation, and allowing corruption to flourish under his watch. His words cut deeply: "Mr. President, you have failed this nation. It's time to step down." That declaration sliced through the chamber like a blade. The silence that followed lasted only moments before it was shattered by an uproar of shouting, heckling, and angry rebuttals from ANC MPs rushing to the president's defense. Some lawmakers condemned Mkhwanazi's remarks as reckless and destabilizing, accusing him of jeopardizing the government at a critical juncture. But the damage was already done. The spark had ignited a firestorm. What began as a routine session swiftly spiraled into an all-out confrontation. Opposition MPs joined the chorus against Ramaphosa, while ANC loyalists fought back ferociously. The speaker struggled in vain to maintain order, hammering the gavel repeatedly as the chamber descended into chaos. Lawmakers stood face to face, yelling across the floor, their voices booming through the hall. Tensions escalated to such an extent that security forces were placed on standby, ready to intervene should the verbal clash turn physical. Through it all, Ramaphosa himself did not lash out, though his discomfort was obvious. Sitting in tense silence as Mkhwanazi hurled accusations, his unease grew as the calls for his resignation reached a deafening crescendo. When he finally spoke, the president dismissed Mkhwanazi's statements as mere political showmanship. He reaffirmed his commitment to serving South Africans and urged MPs to concentrate on genuine issues rather than theatrics. But his reassurances barely made a dent. Opposition lawmakers continued chanting, demanding accountability, their cries drowning out much of his response. Outside Parliament, the uproar quickly spilled into public spaces. Social media platforms lit up, with hashtags like #RamaphosaMustGo and #ParliamentChaos trending across South Africa. Clips of MPs shouting, pointing fingers, and the speaker's desperate attempts to restore order went viral within minutes. Some hailed Mkhwanazi as courageous, saying he had finally voiced the frustrations ordinary citizens live with daily. They argued Ramaphosa had failed to fulfill promises of reform, allowed corruption to fester, and ignored the hardships endured by millions. Yet not everyone agreed. Critics slammed Mkhwanazi for fueling instability, accusing him of seeking attention rather than solutions. For many South Africans, the timing of Mkhwanazi's attack was particularly dangerous. The nation is already weighed down by economic challenges, unemployment, and widespread social tension. Adding a political crisis to that fragile mix could plunge the country even deeper into uncertainty. To these critics, Mkhwanazi's fiery declaration was not a bold act of truth-telling but a reckless gamble that might inflict more harm than good. Even so, protests and rallies are already being planned by groups on both sides of the divide. In some cities, Small crowds gathered outside ANC offices, chanting for Ramaphosa to resign. Elsewhere, government supporters rallied behind the president, branding Mkhwanazi as an opportunist bent on undermining the state. For Ramaphosa's defenders, Mkhwanazi's call for resignation was a dangerous stunt designed to destabilize leadership. For his detractors, it was the long overdue moment of reckoning. Whichever way one sees it, South Africa now stands at the edge of another turbulent chapter in its political history. The stakes are immense. Opposition parties sense weakness and feel newly empowered, viewing this as their chance to push for another impeachment attempt or a fresh motion of no confidence. Analysts warn that the divisions exposed today could fracture the ANC further, revealing how fragile its internal unity has become. Behind closed doors, whispers circulate within the ruling party itself. Some ANC members privately acknowledge that Ramaphosa has lost the trust of ordinary citizens, while others argue that ousting him now could send the party into deeper turmoil. What began as a single dramatic session has evolved into a larger struggle, not just between political factions, but within them. This is no longer merely about one parliamentary clash. It is about South Africa's direction, its leadership, and its people's future. The call for Ramaphosa to resign underscores the public's growing anger at corruption, stagnant economic progress, and weak governance. For millions, the pandemonium inside Parliament mirrors their daily frustrations, joblessness, soaring cost of living, and crumbling public services. To them, Mkhwanazi's eruption was not just drama, it was a plea for accountability in a system that seems to have failed them time and again. Still, skeptics warn that removing Ramaphosa will not automatically solve South Africa's deeper problems. Corruption is not confined to one man, they argue, nor will the economy suddenly rebound with a leadership change. What the country truly needs, they say, is stability, structural reform, and long-term planning, not just political fireworks. Regardless of whether one sees Mkhwanazi as reckless or brave, his outburst clearly struck a national nerve. It tapped into a well of frustration, anger, and disillusionment with the political status quo. And so the pivotal question remains, is this the turning point that reshapes South Africa's political landscape, or just another chapter in the ongoing saga of high-stakes drama? Will Ramaphosa once again survive the storm, or does this spectacle mark the beginning of his presidency's end?